By September 10, 2025, all Ukrainians living in Russian-occupied territories, as well as those within Russia itself, must, according to a new decree from the Kremlin dictator, apply for Russian citizenship. Additionally, the Ministry of Health is required to conduct medical examinations of these individuals within the same time frame. Essentially, this means collecting personal data from the local population. Those who refuse will be deported. The document was published on the official legal information portal.
Ukrainian citizens currently in the Russian Federation who do not have legal grounds to reside in the Russian Federation must either leave the Russian Federation on their own or resolve their legal status in the Russian Federation by September 10, 2025, from the Moscow Times publication.
Thus, the Kremlin is trying to address the demographic crisis in the country. According to experts, Russia's enormous losses in the war against Ukraine and the record wave of immigration have negatively impacted an already bleak population statistic. The country is experiencing a sharp decline in the birth rate, while the Kremlin attempts to convince Russian women not to pursue careers or education, but rather to have children as young as often as possible. The deep economic crisis makes any positive outcome unlikely. In the beginning of the 80s, Russia had a population of 148 million. According to preliminary data from Rosstat, the population of Russia at the beginning of 2025 has decreased to 146 million. In reality, the population decline may be even greater.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
Look at what is happening with Russia's demographics, at the situation with the generation capable of decisive actions. This generation is small due to the demographic crisis, and it is suffering most from the war.
This is part of the Kremlin's ongoing policy of eradicating the national and cultural identity of Ukrainians, according to analysts at the Institute for the Study of War. Moscow is conducting a campaign of forced passportization in territories occupied by Russian forces in Ukraine to legitimize Russia's territorial claims and strengthen its control over the local population. Moreover, this is aimed at altering the demographic composition of the occupied territories.
The Kremlin has also conducted Russian repopulation campaigns to artificially decrease the number of Ukrainians living in occupied Ukraine and inflate the number of Russians in these areas. From the Institute for the Study of War report.
In February 2025, Alexander Gorovoi, Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs of the Russian Federation, announced that Russia had complete passportization in the territories occupied by Russian forces in Ukraine. According to the Russian official migration division, employees successfully completed the issuance of Russian passports to Ukrainians in 2024. The Kremlin's methods of forcing are well known. Russian occupiers use repression against those who refuse to accept Russian citizenship. Medical personnel are forbidden from providing assistance to individuals without Russian passports. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine stated that by forcing Ukrainian citizens in Russian-occupied territories to obtain the passports of the aggressor state, Moscow is violating several international legal instruments.
First, this violates the Geneva Convention on the Protection of Civilian Persons in Time of War, specifically Article 49, which prohibits the forced relocation or deportation of civilians from occupied territories. Article 47, which defines the forcible transfer of civilian populations as a serious war crime. We consider this to be a null and void act. It is another step in Russia's campaign of discrimination, persecution, and the forced displacement of Ukrainian citizens from their homeland, or coercing them into becoming foreigners.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs declared that the systematic deportation and persecution of Ukrainians is part of Russia's deliberate policy of genocide against the Ukrainian people, reported by Alexander Zaslavets, Victoria Smirnova, UATV News.